Ooh, that's a big box. In this room. Today's video, we're going to be doing an unboxing of the fairly new released Hot Toys release. This is the Grand Moff Tarkin and Darth Vader set. It's one of my fewest examples of a Darth Vader that I've picked up, only having relied on the Sideshow Collectibles release of Darth Vader many years ago. I felt it was time to get an upgrade. And along with the upgrade comes a new figure, at least for the collection, and that's Grand Moff Tarkin. Big fan of Peter Cushing, so very, very thrilled to open this up. All I've done so far, to be fair and be transparent here, I've got the tape on the top of the box, and I slightly looked at Vader. That's about all I've done. Promsies, I've not done anything else but that. I figured I would wait and do a full unboxing on the channel. Let me just dispose of the cardboard over here and rectify the correct way to display the box. There it is right there. This is product code MMS434, Grand Moff Tarkin and Darth Vader. Ideally, I could again just gone with Darth Vader, but who's going to pass on Peter Cushing, one of the coolest cats in the business. Primarily known for, of course, his horror films, but a lot of people remember him as well as Grand Moff Tarkin. The box itself, and we're going to get into a little bit more of an in-depth review as a separate video. This is solely just my initial opinions, which I've kind of been doing the last little while for these unboxings. This is sort of my opening of feelings about a figure, and then we'll kind of get into the more in-depths after the fact. So there's the box as a whole, very much larger of a box than we are normally seeing. Usually, well, it's almost exactly double the width. Usually it's about this for the figure. I'm going to lay this down just for a second, just to take the covering box art here. I completely blocked the camera, so I apologize for that. There's the interior insert. I mean, I'm looking at this, and it looks like I'm looking at the actor. I think the only giveaway is not necessarily the face, but I feel like the fabric might be the ringer as to why this doesn't look like the real actor of Peter Cushing here. Then we're going to go ahead and pull this off. There we go. And I'm just going to put that to the side. There's really certainly a lot to look at here. I'm going to probably lay it down just for the risk that I don't have all this stuff falling on me. I probably think that I could have also recorded the video upright or have the camera up at the top here. Maybe something I may work on for a future video. So we've got, let me just move this to the side here. We've got Tarkin's chair, and it looks like there's some independent stands going here. If you want to just have the figures on there, actually there's two stands up at the top there. One for Darth Vader, one for Grand Moff Tarkin. And again, he's got his chair if you want to display it with the chair. Space permitting, it definitely would be something I would consider if I would have to double check the space. More and more as I find myself buying these Hot Toys, I do notice, and you probably share this feeling with me, if you collect them for long enough, after a while you start realizing, okay, I'm coming near the end of this detolf. I may have to look into getting another detolf. And then you sort of examine your collection again. What can I part ways with? What can I actually keep? As for keeping here, there's a couple of interchangeable hands. Vader's got a whole slew of different hands. One of which actually, I'm just going to cut this one here. One of which so happens to be the very now popular trend of Jedis and Sith Lords having their own corresponding light-up hand. This one is a little bit of a denser plastic, but there's the light-up option right there. Wondering how you can get to it. I guess there must be a simpler means of doing this. Obviously, the lightsaber is attached to the hand, but the battery compartment is tucked underneath the glove. There must be an option. I would have to obviously look at the instructions. I'm not going to just rip this off in case there's wiring running through, but I would imagine it's probably going to be a single ball joint light that's at the very end of the forearm, and then the glove just sits over top of it. That's the only logical solution I could come up with, because again, like, you can't get quite a screwdriver in there. With the unboxings as well, I haven't really, other than just my initial researching of the figure before I buy it, I haven't spent a whole lot of time. I'm just going to move this also to the side. But I haven't spent a whole lot of time of researching like the individual components of the figures, all the accessories and stuff that they come with, because I usually do that when I'm doing the review. That way I'm not leaving stuff off. I watch other, well, watch other videos, and sometimes people just don't know what they're talking about. But here we have Grand Moff Tarkin, and we've got Darth Vader. Got some ball joints there, some extra joints for the hands. 2 of them actually, one flesh tone for Tarkin, one for Vader. Then we've got the Empire. It's a little drone pod. It's a little torturing pod that they do the layout. We don't really quite know what exactly it does, as it kind of goes, and then the door closes. That was sound effects coming from my own mouth. It does look good. It would definitely be something I would consider putting on display with the 2 characters. But I mean, if you like looking at the throne, the chair, I should say, not so much a throne, but a chair, then you look at 2 figures, then you look at this, that on its own would fit up probably one entire shelf of a detolf. So it's always stuff that you kind of have to weigh out in your mind. Like, do I want to put a figure into a really cool pose? Yes, I do. But that may also run the risk of taking up an entire shelf of a detolf, and you only have 4 of those usually to work with. But it does look good though. I like the look of the pod. The little, I don't know what you would call it, a little torturing. Well, you know what it is. You know what it is. I'm gonna put that right in there. And then I'm just going to lift that away. Let's look at some of the accessories that comes included. I'm guessing the majority of these are all things that are going to attach to that pod there. I keep calling it a pod. I guess it's somewhat of a droid. It's different, like little claws and stuff like that. I really, again, don't know what most of these would actually serve a purpose for. Like specifically like this one. I don't really know. It's like just a spoon. It's just like a big giant spoon. The needle makes sense. Obviously, if you're going to be questioning somebody, a needle probably, or whatever's in the needle, is probably going to assist with that. And then we've got a couple of little devices, little tools. There's Vader's lightsaber, right there. Standalone lightsaber that does not require the assistance of the light-up hand. You can also display that just on his holster. To go along with that, if I can actually reach in there, there we go. There's a lightsaber beam. Or blade, either of which. And those are pretty much your accessories. Let's go ahead and grab Grand Moff Tarkin very carefully. Somebody had mentioned that I'm awfully rough when it comes to these unboxing. I didn't think I was. I try my best to be very gingerly careful with these things, especially this part. I so dislike taking the tape off of boots and stuff like that. Probably only going to take one off for the time being and then keep the other one on until I'm ready to do the full review of it. Just want to look at the quality of the... Okay, so it's what I thought it was going to be. The actual boot is plastic, or at least the part that's... the foot portion is plastic, and this is sort of like a faux leather. This would be the identical on this side, just a mirror flip. The material actually is not quite what the packaging would almost allude. You remember the packaging end of it, of this unboxing, the material for his outfit was almost more like a twill, it was more like a cross kind of canvas material. In fact, let me just reach down, where's my, oh, there's the other, I'll grab it over here. To bring in the little insert here. The outfit definitely does not look like it's the same. Although this is not Peter Cushing, that's the Hot Toys release. I'm wondering why they ultimately went with a different color and a different fabric. Here, clearly, it looks more like a heavier material. Here, what we end up ultimately getting here is a slightly thinner material. Just a few changes I guess they made along the way. Head sculpt's really good though. It's not as wrinkly as, again, this face is here. I can't imagine that they redid the face from scratch. It's probably just the sense of just different lighting that they ended up using. Of course, he's got his, I think that's rank on his like a little lapel here. I always kind of, it reminded me of cough drops. Whenever I saw that in the original Star Wars and the sequels, I always thought, why do they have cough drops on their chests? Okay, that's honey, cherry, and I guess blueberry or blue raspberry. Why did they always, and then afterwards, when I got older, I realized. It does look like he's got a magnet on the top there. Something of which you can, it looks like it's coming a little bit loose. I can't imagine that this should be something that's removable, but it looks like the material here has come away from, maybe that's a magnet. But again, I like the head sculpt. It's a really good head sculpt of Peter Cushing. And again, the rest of his body, there's the back of it. Got to take all this off before we do the full review of it. Not going to leave that on. A little threading. You don't need to be there, so go away. Yeah, not a bad looking head sculpt. So that is Tarkin. Wonder if you can stand over there. There we go. All right. And let's pull out, again, my initial reasoning for getting this was more so the Vader, in all honesty, because I just wanted to get an upgraded Darth Vader figure. Then I realized that Hot Toys was selling, actually, you know, at the time of doing the searching for a new Vader, just pulling his cape out here. A lot of cape happening. There we go. What I'll do is I'm just going to move these out of the way. Put them right over there. There we go. Now we can spend a little bit more time looking at Darth Vader. So initially I was gonna only just really get a new Darth Vader. There's going to be a couple of ones released. There was an Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader. There may also be a Return of the Jedi Darth Vader, and then there's a quarter scale version that's a lot taller. But I definitely wanted to hone my sights in on one specific one, and then it just so happens that I noticed that Hot Toys was doing the 2-pack. Now, unfortunately, the 2-pack, I pay flex payments, which is something I mentioned over the course of my Hot Toys reviews. I do it myself. So like this guy, and that's one of the reasons why I said that these were not the most, well, they are new, but they're not super new, just because I've been simply paying off installment plans. I think every single month I was paying about 100, I want to say like 100 and 130 each, because once these guys, I think the price point on both of them were about close to $500 for both of them, which I guess is a good price. On average, their Hot Toys are usually about $200 to $250 a piece. So I've been very loyally, very faithfully paying my flex payment installments, and I just paid it this month. I just paid the last payment this month. It was, I would say, one of the steeper flex payments that I've done, because on average flex payments for me usually are about $60 to $70. Now keeping in mind as well, there's that conversion rate. So Canada always gets the shaft when it comes to the conversion rates. But like these ones here are probably the most expensive, just by virtue of the fact that they are, you get two of them versus just the one. So that being said, let's have a look at Darth Vader. He's definitely shorter, or he seems to be shorter than the Sideshow one that I had. Also, I think one of the things I'm noticing right off the bat is that the padded Jedi, or the padded suit that he wears underneath his robe, his Jedi robe, it does feel like a little puffy, a little swollen. Like the seams seem a little bit more obvious than they need to be. I say Jedi, it's essentially like the Sith robe. His cape is good though. I like the cape. The material is almost like a suede. It has some elasticity to it, so there's a little bit of stretch to it. The head sculpt, there's Vader's head sculpt. I don't think it could have gotten any bit better than that. They did put a little bit of wear on here. I would have to go back and double check that, but I'm noticing that the very tips of his breathing mask here, one is silver, one is black. I thought they would both be black. Actually, I'm even like looking at the insert here, which I'll bring in once again. It's not one of the easiest things to bring into the camera, but it does look like he's supposed to have two silver tipped ends on both sides. This one just so happens to have black. I mean, I could easily just kind of go in. I could just easily go in and paint that silver. So that's not a big deal breaker for me. It should already be there, but I'm not gonna again lose too much sleep over it. The head sculpt's good though. It's a little on the lighter side, it seems, in the neck area. I feel like Vader as a whole, especially in New Hope, should all be more darker black. The helmet should be a lot shinier. And most, if not all of this, should be all black. I don't feel like it should have lighter areas, almost like it's a really dark silver. Again, I'll just kind of double check all that before getting into the review of it. This one I don't think also has any light up options. I say think, I mean, you would think that I've actually gone in and looked at all this, but I mean, I'm looking at the batteries. There are 7 batteries. 3 of which are a different shape than the other ones. The smaller ones are obviously going to be for his hands, and then the bigger ones maybe are actually going to be for the keypad here, or the little switch console that's on his chest here. So there's probably a light up options right there. To be honest, I've been paying off the installments on both of these guys for what seems to be an eternity. I started what I thought last year, started paying for these guys. So it has been a while, and it kind of just floated under my radar. I knew like every single month I was paying the installments, and it was really only that last installment that came that I'm like, oh right, these guys will be shipped to me. And to the credit of Sideshow Collectibles, they did ship them. I mean, they shipped them, and then it seemed like 2 days later I got them. Unfortunately, they shipped through DHL. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with DHL, but it's definitely one of the more expensive. Like DHL, you could literally get something like the next day, but you'll pay a lot for it. And I think that even the shipping on both of these were probably closer to about $80 just to ship them. That's just shipping them on their own. And of course, the price point on all of these. So unfortunately, Canada sort of gets a bit of the shaft when it comes to buying stuff like this. I mean, keeping in mind, like these figures as a whole would be about a $200, $250 price point. And then you convert after above and beyond that for how much more I would be paying in Canada here. Initial thoughts, though, I'm pretty happy with these. The Vader I would have to spend a little bit more time on. Like Tarkin I like. They definitely did change his fabric, though. The fabric does seem different than what the initial photos showed. But I think it almost was changed for the better. The coloring seemed more accurate. The material definitely seems a lot more accurate. Vader, I think I would have to spend a little bit more time in, and that would involve me taking off all this extra plastic that's wrapped around his waist, his gloves, his boots, and all that stuff. And then once that's done, I'll probably I will get into a much more thorough review, which this really isn't. This is just my initial feelings of this particular set. If you guys are interested in picking this one up for yourself, both this setup of 2 figures up for yourself, you should be able to find them now on Sideshow Collectibles. Like I said, it's not one of the newest sets. I mean, there's a couple of people that have already reviewed the Tarkin. I don't know. I think this set is maybe about a month or 2 old, but at the very least, it was definitely a set I wanted to pick up. I knew for a fact I wanted to get a new Vader, and, you know, Tarkin basically just came for the ride, but I'm really glad that I got him as well, because I think, especially if you're going for a diorama display of New Hope, you really can't have Vader without Cushion Tarkin kind of really in the background plotting. This was just an unboxing, not really so much a review, so do bear with me if I left a few things off of that. Ironically enough, when doing the unboxing videos, I did an unboxing video of Spider-Man, the Homecoming Spider-Man, which had some crazy view numbers to it, but I had left off, I think, the earphones. And a lot of people said, well, you left off the earphones. It's like, well, no, it was in the box, but the actual review would cover off all that other stuff. So like this is just kind of literally just taking figures out of the tray, looking at them, kind of talking a little bit about them, but not really getting too heavily involved, too heavily committed to the review itself. just a unboxing. Needless to say, though, this was the unboxing of product code, what was it, MMS4, I think it was 434. This was the Grand Moff Tarkin and Darth Vader. I always seem to forget his full name. I always want to just keep calling him Tarkin, but Grand Moff Tarkin and New Hope Darth Vader, who seems to have some odd coloring choices for his helmet, but nonetheless, like I said, a review of these two will be coming your way soon. Just simply a case of me just kind of getting a more in-depth feel for the figures, kind of seeing what I can do with them and all that sort of stuff. If you guys haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, well, it's there. It's like right there. I think it's a little box that says subscribe. Hit that little subscribe button. You'll never miss a beat when it comes to future videos. And of course, like I said, the review of these two will be coming your way, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.